Welcome to the Marketing Revolution podcast. This is the underground movement of savage marketers from all over the world. We are not Fortune 500 companies. We are real entrepreneurs with real businesses that have one major thing in mind: to set goals and devour them daily. Because we understand that everyone wants to eat, but only savage marketers are willing to do the hunt. Now let's get this revolution started. Hey, what's up, everybody? John Hiley here with the Marketing Revolution podcast and the Marketing Savage Facebook group, coming to you today with another savage interview with a savage marketer, Brandon Spears. How you doing today, Brandon?
Man, I'm doing great, man. How about you?
Man, I'm doing incredible. We actually just had a conversation before before we started rolling here on the podcast, and Brandon thought that we were live, man, and we were just talking all kinds of shit about all kinds of different things, and we probably should have recorded it because it would have been something cool for y'all to jump in and hear. But hey, we're here, we're live, and we're getting ready to drop some knowledge bombs on you guys. But before we jump into that, you guys know I want you guys to get to know my guest, get to know my boy Brandon Spears, who was literally, we had him last month as the Marketing Savage guest speaker for the month, and we had the Marketing Savage Inner Circle, the Inner Circle group guest speaker, and we were able to get over there and really have a great conversation, drop some knowledge bombs, and just get the group all excited about marketing, which is why a lot of you guys are here on this podcast. So, Brandon, let's go ahead and start with you, brother. Tell us a little bit. Like I told Brandon, I'm like, I know you, but all we've ever talked about is marketing. So I don't know you as far as, like, I told him, I was like, I don't even know how old you are. And Brandon told me he was 30 years old. And but I want to hear a little bit about your background, Brandon. Tell us where you're from. Let's talk a little bit about how your journey began and how you got onto the marketing journey as well.
Yeah, so I'm 30 years old. I live in Louisville, Kentucky right now. Don't recommend moving here if you don't already live here. I'm trying to move out myself. I started doing marketing about 8 to 10 years ago. I started hand coding websites, learning WordPress when everyone was like big into blogging and trying to figure out, the way the web was going to work. So I started there. I got tired of taking like just one-time payments up front to build someone a website. And the market started to shift, and everyone's talking about how much money they're making with Facebook and all this other stuff. So I started learning advertising, paid ads through Google and Facebook. And that's kind of how I got shifted into Facebook ads. But if you go back further than that, I worked in a call center for AT&T and some of the biggest call centers in the world. I was an operations manager. So I had like 12 or 14 supervisors and 300 employees under me. And I managed them for years. So I really got really good with my call flow and things and coaching people. And I just took it into business. But the way that my business actually started was I was going through a divorce with my wife, and I was fighting to get full custody of my kids, which I do have full custody of them now. And I just was like, dude, I got to do all these things for the court system. And I spent all my money on my attorneys winning the case. And I just launched my business, man, right there during that time. I was like, I gotta make money and still be able to fulfill all my obligations.
Right. So like literally that gave you the opportunity and the chance to kind of work at home and to be able to fulfill the obligations and not be weighed down by like what it would take to work for AT&T at a call center and manage all them people. Like I know my wife, she actually, when me and my wife got together, wasn't soon after, she was kind of in like the nursing business. And then she actually got into the call center business and became a call rep for a company called Evenflow that sells like baby products and stuff like that. And it was kind of incredible to hear the level of the way that these people were being monitored and the responses and the systems that went in behind the whole call center structure. And she turned out to be an incredible asset to our company simply because of her call center background.
Yeah, we just hired a new person for ads and like account managers. And I hired them because they had so many years of experience in the call center. But it was very, call center is a hard job, dude. It's got quick turnover. Like every time that I would hire like a whole group of people, like only 4 of them would make it through the 12-week training course, man. So it was just tough to be in that industry. And now managing a small team of like 14, 15 people that we have, it's not very hard.
Right. Makes it a lot easier. Speaking of that, man, managing a team of 14 or 15 people, let's jump into that a little bit. Because I'm all about kind of like chain of command. And I kind of feel like if 2 people are coming up to me, then I've got a problem, right? I've got a problem if 2 people got to ask me a question. I tend to put everything down a chain of command where everybody's got to go through my assistant. And then the last way of getting my time is literally the last ditch effort. If nothing else, nobody else can answer a question, then that's when I get involved, other than doing training and things like that with the employees and, things that I want to be involved in. Right. So what do you find as far as managing the team of the 14 people? Like, how do you do that? Because I know a lot of guys out there listening right now, Brandon, and they're just like, and we hear this even at an executive level. We hear of people out there who are making a hell of a good living, but they're really just trying to figure out how to hire maybe even their first VA. Let's talk a little bit about that, man.
Man, SOPs are so important, which are your standard operating procedures. We have a program we use called Asana, which is like a project management type of tool that you can implement your SOPs into. And I just attach Loom videos to everything for each step in the process. And we have a series of checks and balances, So like if it meets like 3 criterias, then send it to me. If it don't check one of those boxes, don't send it to me, figure it out. And if it becomes a financial bearing situation, then yes, I want to know about it. And that's kind of how I run my team.
Yeah. Speaking of that, we, and I think I've talked about this on the podcast previously. We use a software called Process Street. And so I seen your head turn sideways whenever I said
Never heard of it.
Never heard of it. Okay. Yeah. Well, you're going to love hearing about this then, because it's an actually builder for processes that has different ways to trigger all kinds of actions like alerts and things like that. So we've been using that for a while now. And in fact, that's one of the things inside of the Marketing Savage University. That's one of the things that I teach people inside of my systemizing course, is to use something similar. And I really stress that. I'm like, it's only $97 a month, guys. You can put your whole team on it, use Process Street. But it's kind of neat because it actually does have an administration dashboard where things, when they get to your level, it comes to your admin dashboard and you can either take it through or push it. And then it also has ways to notify people. Like, let's just say you got like, I know that you run an agency and I run an agency, and there's certain times there's got to be multiple people on one project. I know that one of my designers start a website design that we've got a certain time when the copywriting needs to be submitted, right? Because that usually takes the longest, and that's the things that we want to figure out first. So
yes.
In our software, we like have it to where it immediately notifies them like, hey, you can't go to the next step until you click the box that says the copywriting has been submitted, or the information that our copywriter requires.
Yeah.
And, it's some really cool stuff. I used Asana in the past. I used all of them. I've used Asana. I've used Basecamp. Some of you guys who don't know what this is project management software. The one that I'm stuck on now is Process Street, because it's like, like a drag drop builder, Brandon.
Yeah, it's like
drag and drop builder. Like you drag your video into place, you drag your checklist under it, you drag it even has an email thing, and you can write the email that goes to the client. You just it'll say like client name, like, and when the client fills out the form, even the client fills out the form and it starts the process. And then from there, it will put the client's name on there, whatever, F name. Hey, F name. And it'll fill all that stuff in, and it'll show them the emails they send. It'll time every aspect of the process. And I've always seemed that like when I did that in different types of project software, it seemed like it always got messy on me. This was the only one I felt really contained every project the way that I wanted it, So that's
Yeah,
a little
I'll have to check that out, man, because Asana has its limitations. I've been experimenting with ClickUp, which is the one that Ryan just purchased.
Oh
It's
yeah.
got a learning curve to it, but it's
Okay.
really powerful.
I
But
didn't know
yeah,
that you had just purchased something. Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't have said it, but
You already dropped the cat.
he
The cat
dropped it. He dropped it in the chat, to everybody at
Oh, okay.
Flying Friday. So, yeah, ClickUp, man, is a great tool. I've heard of it. I've tried it, but I've been a little bit more deep diving it because I know some people who are really using it for complex tasks. And with Asana, it's pretty basic. Like you got your checklist, you open it, it's got the description. You can drop the video in there, the Google Doc links, things like that. We've had success with it, but I make everything like stupid simple for everyone, like if you don't check this box off and you do this, like it's not going to work. Like each thing has to be checked off. So I think project management tools or softwares is probably the key to starting to remove yourself from the day-to-day activities of your business. And you can use them in any business. Like you're in dent removal is where you started, right?
Yeah. We started in paintless dent removal and got into the auto body end of the business with auto body shops and things like that. And then we got into auto body tool manufacturing and then into marketing and events and everything else from there. But it all started back with that one opportunity. In fact, Brandon, I'll tell you what, man, I was when I found out about this thing, I was working as a detailer when I was 16 years old. And I remember I was working in this detailing shop and I was cleaning up cars and making a little bit of money. And the owner at the detail shop, he was so jealous of these dent guys. He says, these dent guys come up here and they make all of this money. And that's all I had to hear. Like something stuck in my mind. Ting.
Click. Yep.
And when I was 18 years old, I flew out and got training and I came back and I realized it took me a little while to make money, but he wasn't wrong. I mean, he wasn't wrong. It was a good income and still is a good income. I still own my shops and all that stuff.
Yeah, but you probably have a list. Use this tool first or hit the hammer this hard. Or I don't know anything about dent removal, but if I had to guess, it's a process that you follow
definitely
each
in
time.
Training. So yeah, definitely in training. Like even, in our denttrainer.com, our online training company, that is everything's processed. I mean, like literally you go in there, you got step one, here's where you start. There's where you start. There's where you start. Now, when you get into later stages of it, it's more of a reaction type thing. If it reacts this way, you react that way. If it reacts this way, you react that way. It's almost like a grappling match. You never know which way it's going to move. So depending on how it moves is how you move.
Yeah. So, but to remove you obviously didn't want to be the one removing dents all the time. So you had to come up with a process to remove yourself out of the day-to-day operation for that. And it all starts with the hiring process. But I think SOPs are the most important part of business. Because if you don't have them, every time someone comes in, you're going to have to retrain them instead of just putting it in a software like Asana or the process one that you use.
Sure. Yeah. And inside of this group, there's a lady here named Wendy Takaharo. And
Takaharo.
Yeah,
I like that,
Takaharo, man. Isn't that a cool name?
That's a cool name.
Wendy is like the sweetest person on planet Earth. And she's probably one of the smartest people and she's definitely the systems genius. She's the smartest person I know in systems. And she like literally, so I'm listening to these podcasts. We had my War Room Inner Circle last year. Listening to these podcasts, and that was the big hang up. Like everybody, when they get to the $1 million range, or when even if you're in the $400,000 to $500,000 range, your big hang up is always creating systems. And when you get to the fucking $1 million range, shit gets chaotic if you don't have systems. Like I see people do it though, but their lives are fucking like a blur, man. Like they're like this all the time. All right, man, what are we gonna do today? All right, bam, nonstop, all the fucking time. And it's crazy to watch when somebody gets to that level because you're like, man, this motherfucker's gonna break eventually.
Yeah, running on 3 hours of sleep all the time, and they ain't been on vacation in 10 years.
Yes, most of the people in the mastermind group, that was their big hang up, right? So I go and I start listening to Systems podcast, and I realize that Wendy is being invited on all these podcasts. I start listening. I'm like, motherfucking, she's the most brilliant person I've ever heard in my life on this, right? So I just give her a call. And she tries to stop me and take me through her system of hiring me as like a client, right? You know, she thinks I'm calling her, right? I'm going to take you through this system, see what you need. I'm going to give you my packages. And finally, in the middle, she's like, listen, you're just going to have to follow my system. And I'm like, I want to hire you to speak in my group. And she's like, what? And I'm like, I want to hire you to come speak in my group once a month. And we talked, and she's like, well, you know, I don't charge by the, I'm like, I don't, just tell me what you want to charge for it. I'm not saying you're charging by the hour or anything like that. Like, I know your worth, you know, hopefully I can introduce you to people. Just let me know what you want, and you mean to send you a blank check and you can just fill it in.
Yeah. At this point, it's not about money. It's about the value.
And we locked it in with Wendy Takaharo, and she's part of this group now. And she helps shoot Cale Goodman and Trevor from the Real Business Owner Pod. I think Cale just talked to her recently.
Yeah.
There's several other people that I had recently connected with her, but she's the one that actually introduced me to Process Street, got me involved with that Process Street thing. But our last webinar that we had, and we did 12 months worth of webinars with her. But our last webinar that we had with her was specifically about employee onboarding and employee training. And man, let me tell you something. There is more shit to that than what anybody ever realizes. There was definitely, when I was doing it, I was like, damn, man. I was like, shit, I could be definitely upping my game up in this thing. So what's your process when you hire somebody in? Like, do you take them through, we were talking like online training combined with over the shoulder, you know, type stuff like that. You know, how do you nail down that training process?
Yeah. So all my employees are remote, and they're spread out across the country and even the world. So we got to do it over Zoom. So a lot of training videos, but we do like a couple of days of hands-on Zoom where they watch. Our account managers actually have the most in-depth training. It takes about 8 weeks to train an account manager before they actually take on their first client. Because your account managers are for our business, it's everything. They're our
front face of your business.
Exactly. So everyone that comes in, our hiring process is kind of strict. They got to take the crystallizer test from the book Rocket Fuel. And depending on where I'm hiring, if I'm hiring an account manager, I know they need to score higher on the integrator side, but they also need a good visionary score. If I'm hiring an ads guy, he needs to score high on the integrator, and the visionary don't really matter, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, that's the first check mark. Do they meet my criteria for the score? If they do, then I start asking about their background. I look for things like call center employees, video game people. You know, if I'm hiring for ads, I'm looking for anyone who plays video games for ads. Okay, hands down.
Dude, I'll tell you what. My son is he is a website, one of the website builders for us, and he has adopted it incredibly. And he is like a phenomenal video game player. And I tried to explain to him that building these is like video games. And now he's able to nail it with like very damn near no mistakes. We got different checks, quality checks, but damn near no mistakes.
Yeah, this is one of my secrets of finding good integrators. And I was sharing it with a couple people in Apex. Man, go find the video gamers, because to be good at a video game, you got to do the same thing over and over and over again and get so good at it that you can beat the biggest boss and get the best equipment in the game, right? So I played video games for a lot of years. I was a competitive video game player, me and my brother. So we would know the insides and outs of everything to do with the video game. And I was like, man, I need to find somebody who's really good at integration but hates talking to people. I was like, video gamers, you know? So I started going out and hiring video gamers for my back-end systems. Dude, it's been like one of the best decisions I've ever made. They don't want to deal with any clients, and they want to get their stuff done, you know, so they can go play video games. So they're already in front of the computer all day anyway. Or
Oh, and they're super quick at it too. Like when they get that shit nailed down, I mean, you see the way a video gamer like tick, 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 like it almost looks magical. Like how in the fuck are they doing this? And still thinking, at the same time, but they don't have to think about it.
And here's my secret. I don't need, for my ads people, and you know this, I don't need 8 hours of work for my ads management.
Sure.
Like, we got 60 clients. I have a 3-day rule, 4-day rule. If you touch an ad, you don't touch it again for 4 days so the algorithm can do its thing. Right? So I just need you available for 10 hours or 8 hours a day. If you're available for them responses and what you need to change and you're hitting your KPIs, your key performance indicators, dude, I don't care if you play video games 6 hours a day while you work, as long as you're getting my stuff done. And they love it, man, because they're already in front of the computer. And if I shoot them a message right now on Slack, instant, they'll be back with me with 30 seconds or less, dude.
Dude, that is awesome, man. That is really
for integrators.
No, that's incredible, man. That's some good stuff. I was actually talking about this on a couple podcasts. I think it might have been another Motivational Monday a couple Mondays ago. And I was specifically talking about using a cheat book in a video game and how literally it's almost like life is a video game, right? And I don't know, do you remember playing like Contra back in the day, or do you remember playing like, so I mean, you still remember up, down, down, left, right, BA, select, start if you got 2 players, right?
Yeah, the Mortal Kombat fatalities, the right, left, up, down, R2,
Yes, man. Yeah, I was actually undefeated in my city in Mortal Kombat, by the way. Noob Saibot. This was Nintendo 64.
Okay? Yeah, the 64.
Oh, with the James Bond, the James.
Oh, the GoldenEye.
Yeah, the proximity mines and the pyramid.
And the golden pistol.
Yeah. So that's the shit that I grew up on. But I was talking about this, like, if life is a lot like figuring out what we've literally got things we can model. Okay, you get stuck on a video game, or are you going to find out what the cheat is? Are you going to find out how in Super Mario Brothers how you can jump up on top of the thing and skip 2 or 3 different levels, get past them and get to the end quicker? And a lot of that is the framework, or it's hiring coaches or hiring somebody that's already been there before, right? So I've always been a fan. Like I told you, one of my business coaches was Eric for a long time. And I knew the reason why I hired him is like, he's a fucking multimillionaire. He's already where I wanted to be when I hired him. And he was the person who took me there the quickest.
Yeah. And, I made a post about this like a few weeks ago. We go through school and sports, and the whole time we got teachers and mentors and coaches for the sports that you play. And then we get out into the world and we're just like, take off. We don't think about having a coach or a teacher anymore. Like 95% of people just run and think they know everything. Doesn't it make sense to hire coaches? You had coaches your whole life. Why would you go without a coach
that can give you the knowledge?
And the cool thing is, you hire what you want to learn.
Mm-hmm. I'm a fan of 2 things, though. There's 2 types of people. So there's a coach and a mentor. And I do believe there's times in our life for coaches, but I believe there's times in your life for mentors, man. Because a coach can be somebody who, I'll give you an example. So I hired Eric as a mentor because at the time, and probably still today, he was worth way more than me. He already had, businesses in like $100 million range or something like that, and just incredibly, so I hired him as a mentor. But there was somebody, believe it or not, that he was mentoring long enough where this dude super passed him. I would say his name, but you guys would all probably shit your bricks, and I shouldn't do that because that was told to me in confidentiality. Yeah. But has shot past him. So Eric pretty much told me, well, I'm not his mentor anymore. Now I'm his coach because I'm coaching him because he's passed me. Right. Mm-hmm. So there's a little bit of difference. It's almost like Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan needed a coach, right? Michael Jordan needed a coach, but I guarantee you when he started his own business, he hired plenty of fucking mentors.
100%.
He hired, like when he ended up going and purchasing the Charlotte Hornets. Oh, he learned that shit from fucking mentors, man. People that were, sharks in business, people that had been in waters he hadn't chartered. And this doesn't even have to be financial, by the way. A mentor is just somebody who is ahead of you in something. A coach is somebody who is from the outside looking in, helping your performance. A mentor is somebody who is past you somewhere, is somewhere ahead of you, and is taking you and has the knowledge to get you there.
I think most of our first mentors in life is normally your grandparents, right? It's normally, if you're a guy, it's your grandfather.
They've been there, man.
If you're a female, it's normally your grandmother, and your grandfather's supposed to instill the wisdom in you to live a comfortable life. But it comes down to hiring a coach. So people think coaches are expensive, but man, think about all the time and money you save by not making the wrong decisions when you go hire a coach.
Well, that's the one thing, man. That's the one thing that wealthy people consider. It's a stark difference between wealthy people and people that want to continue to live, on the edge of their paycheck, paycheck by paycheck, is that people who are wealthy value time over money, and people who are not, they value money over time, meaning that somebody who's not wealthy is willing to spend 3 nights in their garage changing out their transmission on their vehicle, rather than paying somebody a couple $1,000s to do it, because really their time is not that valuable, or they don't value their time more than they value the money. Everybody I know who's wealthy absolutely values their time way more than they value money. So if there's a way to get them, and here's my thought about that, Brandon. Money always comes back, man. This is the way I look at it, right? Time never comes back, man. Time is all we fucking have. So I want as much of it as possible. I want to be selfish with my time, man. I'm very selfish with my time. I want to be careful who the people I give it to, and that's the one thing I'm always thinking. I'm like, somebody, oh man, I don't know if I want to, I'm sorry, man, I can't invest the time in this. Nope. I've got to say no, because I don't want to invest the time. No, sorry. No. But I'm not being selfish with money. I'm being selfish with my time, because I'm giving away money all the time to save me that time.
Yeah, I refuse to work on a car, man. I'll pay whatever it is. I don't care. I can't stand it. This is something I struggled with for a long time. In Apex, Jen and Thomas have been on me about hiring a house manager. And they was like, because I'm a single dad, right? My kids. And they was like, you don't need to spend time doing the dishes and laundry and getting everything ready for your house. Like, just hire someone so you can spend that time with your kids and the people that you want to spend time with. And to me, I felt like I was hiring a spouse, so I struggled with it for a long time. But now I'm understanding, dude, like, if I don't want to go to the grocery store, I just pay someone to go to the grocery for me. I don't cut my grass no more. I don't need the New Balances and the shorts and the riding lawnmower with the, I don't need none of that, man. I need my time back for cutting that grass. I need my time back and right now I've achieved a cool thing recently. I can step out of my business for weeks at a time, and I'm still going to get that paycheck at the end of the month, and they won't bother me, and that's all through systems and processes, man.
Yep.
But I'm just now grasping to give money for time back. It's like real estate. Land is the only thing that we won't get more of, right? There is no more land. So that's why owning real estate is such a big deal. It's the same thing with your time. You don't get your time back. So how can you get more of your time?
Money always replenishes
for the right people that know how to do it. But I'm in that mode now, man. I'm just grinding to get so much money that I can, buy my time back whenever I want to. And we're getting there, but Apex has helped me a lot.
Yeah, man. Yeah, no doubt, man. That's a good crew, man. Good crew and a good group. And it's where I met Brandon. And in fact, the very first time that we met, we probably spent about 30, 40 minutes just in the garage talking with him and Jose. And Jose is one of Brandon's business partners, and who is just a phenomenal salesman, hell of a good guy. And man, you could just tell he's great at sales. He's got that thing about him, and you can't help but just love the dude whenever you meet him, and just a all around good hearted fella,
Yeah. Jose is an absolute beast at closing. Dude, he closes like 70% on cold leads. And our ticket price is not cheap,
Mm-hmm.
Our entry level package is not cheap. So, but
Right. Yeah, man. Hey, you know what though, man? The value people also got to realize is that you pay for what you get, right?
mhm.
And man, the last thing you really want to do is put somebody ahead of your advertising that's going to be super cheap. Because in my, if you're going to fucking throw your money away, you're going to waste your money. I mean, is it even worth? Is it worth an investment if you're not going to get anything in return? And I mean, you think about that, right? And you go with somebody that's too cheap or doesn't have the knowledge or doesn't have the processes and the systems that are going to be able to take in to keep on track on top of everything and make the necessary changes, then you might be making a huge mistake unless you're paying a decent amount of money to have somebody take care of it appropriately.
Yeah, and I think to piggyback kind of on this whole conversation too, hiring bad clients is almost as bad as hiring bad employees.
No shit.
So for me, we are very picky about who we bring on board. We do not take people who are on a very shoestring budget anymore. If they don't have the money to properly invest in their marketing, I don't want to deal with them because they're going to be the ones that expect the most result out of the minimum budget. So firing clients was something I struggled with for a long time too. But now I'll give you your money back, right away and send you on your way because I don't have time for that fire. And I don't have time for my staff to deal with that fire all the time.
Right, right.
You know,
And you're so true, man. The people that are on the most stringent budget are definitely the people that want so much out of it. I think I made a post and I think it went over a couple people's heads inside of the group. And the post kind of went something like this. It was like a $500 client versus a $5,000 client. And the $500 client was basically like, hey, I am entrusting you with this $500 because this is like, this is my life that we're talking about. And with this $500, I am committing, and it just went on like this entire, 3-paragraph ramble about this $500 that they were entrusting you with. And then the $5,000 client just said, thanks, got the bill, money sent.
Exactly.
Thanks, got the bill, money sent.
Well, one, the $5,000 person understands what they're hiring and the value, and they know that their money is going to compound. And they know they need it off their plate because that's not something they want to spend their time on, and they want to go spend their time at the golf course.
Sure. And I would say that if you literally find yourself taking on clients that that you shouldn't, ones that are going to be the pain in the ass, ones that are on the little shoestring budgets, like you actually put yourself in position where you are actually the one that is thinking with the scarcity mindset.
Yeah.
Because you're telling the world, the universe that, I have to take this person on simply or else there's not enough.
Yeah, and that's something when you're first getting started in the marketing game, man, I would take on anyone who was willing to give me a few $100s.
Sure.
But I was just trying to, live and pay all the money that I could to my attorneys at that time. But as I got to that, in marketing, your first big goal is to hit like 10K a month, 10K a month, 70% profit margins in most agencies, you're living pretty comfortable at that point. Then you can really dial in and start being real picky on who you take. And you actually start making a lot more money because they pay more and you take on less work. And you get better clients. And as long as you provide results for those clients, you'll continue to grow steady and, you have whatever time you want to spend with your family and your kids. I'm really big into who we take on as a client.
Yeah. And that's kind of why I said the best thing about marketing is that literally, if you know what you're doing and you're doing it right, the beautiful thing about it is it comes down to the point. It comes down to this threshold that you are literally selling money at a discount.
I've never heard that. That's a good one.
You are selling money at a discount. And that's something that I learned was that I had to ingrain in the mind of my clients. That they had to know that they were buying money at a discount. And it was, I'll tell you how this happened. It was years ago. before I had my very first Mega Media event. And what you might not know, there's actually probably users on here. In fact, Dino's on here. He was one of my, I think Dino, you attended several of my Mega Media events, but he was actually a testimonial video at one of my Mega Media events. Well, before I had that event, I remember that I had the Black Friday Cyber Monday sale, and my good friend at the time, Tom Rubens, had a very prominent business coach that came into town. And he flew in. So Tom calls me up. And at the time, me and Tom had John and Tom 360 podcast. And Tom was like, the guy with the glasses and kind of like the nerdy dude. And I'm the guy with the tattoos on my knuckles. And our logo said John, or it was Tom. He was an author with the typewriter. And then John with two knuckles like this that said John with one knuckle beside it. That was our logo for our podcast.
That's awesome.
It's still out there if any of you guys want to check it out. Well, anyhow, he hired this really expensive business coach to come in. And he was a business coach himself, Tom was. And this guy came in and I was talking to him and I'm just like, I want to have this event, but I just don't think anybody would pay $3,000 for it. And I just don't think anybody would pay over $300 for a ticket. I'm telling him this. And he goes, John, listen to me. He goes, back when you were the John that like lived in the 700 square foot apartment and you were paying $750 or $350 a month for. That was our first apartment. That's what I started my businesses out of. It was a 700 square foot apartment. I paid $350 a month for this place. It's where my family lived, my son lived, my wife lived, where my one desk in the living room was. That's where the business was started. It's where it was born. And back in that day, he says, John, when you lived there and you didn't have much money at all, if I would have pulled up in front of your house with a brand new Ferrari and I told you for $5,000, I'll sell you this Ferrari, how long would it have taken you to get the money?
An hour, if that.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. I would have found anybody I knew. I knew rich people in town. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I would have found somebody and I would have made it work for us. And I told him, he looked at me, he goes, John, you got to sell him a Ferrari. But what he was pointing out to me is that at the end of the day, it's about the value that you build in your offer.
Yeah.
And conveying that value to the clients and customers is one of the most powerful things to do, because really in marketing, it's all you can put, I don't give a fuck, all the sales copywriting you want to do, all the marketing voodoo, all the videos and shit, like all of that shit still comes down to a solid offer, period.
Yeah, 100%. We say, in our business, don't sell the plane ride, sell the destination.
Yeah.
And that's, that's what I go by. All right. Am I selling the destination or am I selling the plane ride with the screaming kid and the dog behind you and the cramped seats and the bad, turbulence that you encounter across the ocean? Like, or what are we selling here?
That's a good one, man. I love it. I love it, man. Well, Brandon, I think we're probably about ready to wrap this one up, my friend. How can anybody get a hold of you or find you?
Yeah, the best way to find me is on Facebook. My handle now is the HVAC Marketer across Instagram and Facebook, because that's what we specialize in. Our agency solely is towards contractors and even more niche down into HVAC companies. We work with like 50 or 60 of them across the United States right now. We love it. So that's what my handles are. But if you ever need to get a hold of me, Facebook's definitely the way to do it.
Yeah, that's great, man. That's some good stuff. And Brandon is the man, y'all. And I'm sure I'm going to have him involved. Brandon was at our last inner circle meeting inside of the last mastermind that we had last month. Y'all, we got another mastermind meeting coming up this month. Man, I bet some of you guys who didn't jump in on the inner circle are wishing y'all to become a member now to get all of that motherfucking insider knowledge. But my friends, you got some of it today. You got a little bit of it today. And hopefully the next time we end up running that sale, you'll jump on board. So, all right, my man. I appreciate you, Brandon. Thanks for coming along on the Marketing Revolution podcast.
Appreciate it, man. Thanks for having me.
Appreciate it as well. And as usual, you guys know what's up. I'll see you on that next one.